Hey there, and welcome to part 5 of the IS306 labs with me, Daniel. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to set up GitHub and getting it to work with OpenShift. Now, GitHub is a cloud-based Git service that allows you to host and collaborate coding projects with your friends through Git repositories with a social twist to it. So, to begin, you gotta visit github.com, and this is where all the awesome things happen. And you gotta sign up for an account over here, which you can click from here, or if you've already got an account, be sure to sign in and you'll come to this page. This will be your GitHub homepage where you can see everything that's happening. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is creating a Git repository. So we're going to create a new repository by clicking this icon next to your username, which will bring you to this screen. You got to come up with a name for your repository. I'm going to call mine IS306 lab, and I'm going to choose a public repository. You can't choose a private repository because you don't have a paid account. And also we want to encourage people to take a look at each other's code, to encourage each of you to share your learning journey together. So you should leave it as a public one. And leave this checkbox empty so that it's a completely empty repository with absolutely nothing. Alright, now click on Create Repository. And once that's done, you will see this page, and this will be the home page for this particular repository. Let me introduce to you to some of the tabs that will be useful for you. You've got the Code tab where you will be able to see all of your code. It's empty right now, so you can't actually see anything in this repository. You'll also be able to edit the code as well, which is kind of cool. And there's also an Issues tab. The Issues tab is bug tracking software, like a tool actually, where you can list down bugs or whatever things that you want to do. And you can create a new issue here. You can assign people to these issues so that they know that it's their responsibility, and they're the ones who need to close this issue. In fact, GitHub has an iPhone application. You can find it on the App Store called the GitHub Issues, which allows you to access the issues section, be able to label things, be able to comment and have conversations around them, which is kind of cool, which brings the whole social part to this entire system. Now you've got a wiki page as well for you to create your own wikis if you want. You've got graphs to be able to see the activity, gives you some really cool information, including like which are the languages that you're using the most on your repository itself. And you have an administration tab. In the admin tab, this is where you will be able to add contributors. So if you go into the contributors section in the admin tab, you will be able to see a section where you'll be able to add usernames, where you can add contributors into this project itself. And finally, you have this little tab here called the deploy keys. This is very important. This is where you will be adding the public key so that you can do the whole Git thing with this particular repository itself. So I'm going to give a title. I'm going to call mine my Windows 7 machine. Alright, and I'm going to find a key. And this is the reason why I said it was very important for you to save that text, the key into a text file. So I'm going to find mine, which I saved onto the desktop. Select the whole thing, copy it, and paste it into this section. Click on Add Key. And for safety reasons, it's going to be asking you for your password. Once you've typed the key, you'll find the key over here, and that's it. You're now ready to pull and push into this Git repository. So now we got to add all of these things into your Git repository, which you have already left on your computer. So I'm going to go navigate to that particular folder. And you got to navigate to the very folder where you just pulled your OpenShift repository earlier. It's very important that you do that from there because every folder has its own. So I'm going to right click on the folder itself. I'll go to the Tortoise Git menu and choose the settings option. And I'm going to go and find this tab called Remote from the left panel over here. And I'm going to create a new remote connection. I'm going to call this GitHub, and you gotta need a URL here, so you gotta go back to the page where your repository was located. Click on the title of your repository to go back to the home page, and make sure that you are choosing the SSH option here. So most of the time they leave it by default to HTTP, so make sure it's at the SSH tab. Click on this and copy this entire URL and go into this place here and paste the URL, and you gotta select the private key right now, so make sure you select the key, and just for simplicity we are choosing the same key that was used for OpenShift. Alright, and that's also because we used the same public key earlier back on the GitHub website. Click on add new /save, and that's it. You've now got a second connection within this very same repository. Now we're going to go back to this particular menu, and we're going to right click here and go to Tortoise Git and click push. And this time, instead of choosing the origin, you're going to choose GitHub, and you're going to auto load the putty key and click on OK. It's going to be asking you for the passphrase. So again, you'll get the security alert and just click yes. And what this is doing is that it's going to be pushing the entire repository that was created for OpenShift onto the GitHub repository that you've just created. And that's it, success. So you click on close, and now when you go back to the GitHub repository and you refresh the page, you should see all of the code that was from OpenShift earlier. So you can see right here, everything is over here. In fact, all of the commits that were done previously with OpenShift would have been here as well. So this is actually the really cool thing about being able to push this into two different repositories. Now, you've got two repositories right now with one with OpenShift and one with GitHub. My recommendation is that to always be pushing to GitHub first, right? So push, and then just push it to GitHub, all right? And the reason is because GitHub is the place where you'll be collaborating with your teammates, and you'll be tracking issues and things like that. So it's much better to use GitHub to do that, and then once at the end of the day, your team is ready to deploy the latest code onto the live server, you go and choose origin and you deploy it there. So remember, use GitHub all the time, and origin only when you need to deploy it onto OpenShift itself. Now let me show you some neat tricks that you can do with GitHub. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go inside here and edit this particular file itself, and I'm going to do a little edit. I'm going to say yay, save the file. And so this file has been modified and needs to be committed, so I'm just going to choose the commit option. And GitHub actually has some syntaxes that you can use to create things automatically. So for example, you can refer to any issue by using the hex key and then followed by a number. So for example, if I type hex 1, it will refer to issue number 1, and it will add this commit message into the issue itself. And you can also close issues by saying something like closes hex 1, and that will close issue number 1. And the best part about it is that it will refer your commit message to that particular issue so that you can refer to it later in the future. The other thing that you can also use are add replies. So you can type a person's username just like you would on Twitter, and what that does is that the moment it gets pushed onto GitHub itself, GitHub will send an email to your friend who you've indicated in this particular username to alert him that you want his attention. So you could say that I finished this thing, hey Daniel, take over from here, something like that, and he will receive a message from that. So these are all really cool stuff that you can do with GitHub. And that's it for part 5 of the IS306 labs. You now have all the skills necessary to collaborate together using GitHub, create issues and alert each other whenever you do commits, and finally deploy the code onto OpenShift as well. So on our next video, I'll be teaching you guys some HTML basics. If you have any questions, be sure to find me at the IS306 eLearn discussion boards, and I will do my best to answer them. So see you guys in the next video.